I think I would have drawn all my life from when I was until very little, but I started making art when I was about 12 and decided to keep on doing that and study it and then keep on doing it. I really love it, so I tried to make my whole income come from it, but I've been drawing all my life really, yeah. I started off doing graphic design, which was probably from deep down in the back of my head. I wanted to have something that I could fall back on. Only because you get told that it's such a struggle to be an artist. So, but I didn't really like graphic design, so I ended up leaning towards illustration through that graphic design and became a printmaker. I did painting also. It's art school, but I never really painted there, only for 1 year. And I didn't take up painting until a couple of years ago, about 5 years ago. Well, I had showed here before in a group exhibition with 3 other artists who were members of RAW, so I became a member, and I really liked the show I had here, and I just used to get the newsletters because I was a member, and they just had a studio free, and they were just saying to everyone, see if you wanted it so much a week, and you have to do a bit of administrative work. And I've always been working from home base since I've been arriving in Australia, and which is really good, but it's also really bad because it's a pretty lonely profession. So you end up hiding away, and it's not very healthy when you're just in a new city, especially without any profile or networking done. So I thought it'd be good if I was sort of amongst other artists, and I applied for it and ended up getting it. I paint with printing colograph, but I paint oil on canvas also, and that's all I do here at the Raw Studios, really. But printmaking I keep doing. I might, print every couple of weeks, but I'm always working on plates. And the last show was actually mainly paintings, a few prints as well, but it was the first show that I put so many paintings in. My work's quite light-hearted, so things that influence me are just the day-to-day things, might be just objects I see or people that do something. But it's all very, very, very light, There's nothing serious about the world or something really traumatic about it that I want to express in my work. That doesn't come through in my work because I tend to work quite happily, mainly because I like doing it so much, and the subject matter is so varied. And if I felt really, as if I wanted to express my, the bad things, or I would probably write it or talk about it, but like through my work, it's pretty happy occasions. I might have days and days in it that I sketch a lot out and about or just alone somewhere. But there might be weeks that I don't do it at all and just get in the studio straight onto the blank canvas and start painting something, And sometimes I look back in the sketchbooks and might trigger off a painting, but it can then change again depending on, what you're thinking of. But it's generally got to be humorous sometimes as well. I've got to have fun while I do it, yeah. And you switch off and sort of forget yourself a bit too when you're doing it, which is beautiful. I basically need to have a sideline as well, like illustration or poster design, things like that I tend to have to do for income, a more regular income, because I only exhibit a couple of times a year. And then you get bulks of money, but it's not that great when you haven't got profile, so you've got to really budget it out all year, so I need to have something on the side, yeah. But you do have to promote yourself, unfortunately. You've got to get out there and, especially no one's going to look for you initially. You have to show your work to people, and that's sometimes very hard for artists, and for me it is sometimes. You know, I don't really like to walk around with slides under my arm, you know, I'd like just to work. But that's why you really need someone to take care of you as well.
I only sort of briefly come across a book of Raw and sort of liked a bit of the artwork I'd seen in that, and later found out that group was sort of influenced by the Cobra movement, which was a big influence on me, and as well as early Australian art, including like the Angry Penguins group, which had Charles Blackman, Arthur Boyd, Sidney Nolan. But yeah, I moved down here after finishing university at the beginning of last year, and sort of rocked in. They had a studio vacant. I sort of applied, and they also had an exhibition space free at the time too, so I had set up an exhibition, and halfway through that they offered the studio to me, and I've been here since then. Mostly when I'm painting, the biggest inspiration is actually the paint itself, the way, as you work along, it's like a journey, and each bit of new paint is a new trail that you're going along, and the inspiration for me mostly is the actual painting itself. Mostly it's about the making of art itself in a way, even though a lot of my painting can look very abstract, it is very figurative as well, so I do have some sort of ideas that come out, but mostly I think painting, the ultimate message for me is just about the love of painting, which you can narrow that down to basically love. I mean, for me, painting is, you're supposed to get some sort of enjoyment out of it, some sort of holistic joy, and I'm not something that sort of gives you a fleeting sort of, happiness, but something that, taps into, the full joy of life, really, rather than having any sort of social or political agenda. Mine's sort of more for the joy aspect. I think if you were, for me, a lot of art, if you were approaching it from some other angle that wasn't from the personal sense, it'd end up being more propaganda or illustration. So I think you can only approach an artwork from the personal, which is not to say that it's an ego thing either. It's just a starting point towards a more holistic sort of view. In the periods where I don't paint, it's usually because I'm doing something else related to art, or if I, in a sense, get writer's block in the painting sense, then I'll do a sculpture or a drawing, or move on to another medium, which gives a slightly different mindset, so you don't get stuck. I think ideally that's what every artist really wants, is to make a living from what they like to do. But they're not going to stop if it doesn't happen either. So it's always been a priority of the committee that has been here. This is an access sort of gallery. It was set up by university students for, in particular, the young students, but it was open to all ideas too, and it sort of pretty much still runs along those lines. I think that's the sort of the beauty of this gallery, is that gives some sort of accessing more community sort of feel than a lot of other galleries that you walk into. Like openings around this place seem to be a bit more like parties than standing around being really serious and whatever, sipping wine. A lot of that happens anyway though, but